Alright guys, I'm back. This might be a little late, but I'm going to be going over my playoff predictions. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while, but I'm trying to be more consistent now. And this is the playoff bracket and all the seeding if you don't already know. So starting off with the first matchup, we got the number 1 seed Bucks versus the 8 seed Magic. Bucks are clearly just better in every aspect of basketball, so I got Milwaukee winning the series in 4, which would probably be obvious. Magic could possibly take a game because of the Bucks' horrible 3-point defense, and I wouldn't be surprised. Moving on, next we got the Pacers versus the Heat. Domantas Sabonis is injured, and I'm assuming he's going to miss every game. I don't think TJ Warren is going to be as high as he was in the seeding games, especially because Jimmy Butler is likely going to be guarding him, and we all know how great of a defender he is. The Heat are a very deep team with tons of 3-point shooters and play great and gritty defense. They got a leader in Jimmy and many role players that can do anything. Although I want the Pacers to win because it's an easier matchup for the Bucks, my prediction is the Heat in 6 games. Pacers just don't have the talent and depth to match the Heat. Next we have the Celtics against the 76ers. The absence of Ben Simmons is going to be a big blow for the Sixers, as he would likely guard Jason Tatum and provide elite defense, playmaking, and some scoring. The Sixers have by far the best player in the series and a superstar in Joel Embiid, and due to the Celtics' lack of interior defense, Embiid needs to use his strength and skill to be a bully in the paint. The Sixers still have a good squad with scorers like Tobias Harris, as well as Alec Burks and Shake Milton who need to step up. However, for the Celtics, they just have too many good scorers and have 4 players who can consistently score over 30 on any given night, which will be a huge problem for them. So with that said, I got the Celtics moving past the first round in a 6-game series. For the last matchup of the first round, we have the Raptors taking on the Nets. I actually got the Raptors in 5. Brooklyn's coach Jack Vaughn got them boys playing really hard on both ends, with their G League players stepping up. And I believe Karis LeVert is going to win them at least 1 game. But obviously Raptors are just a better team and reigning champions, so they're going to win. Now moving on to the second round, we got probably the most anticipated and competitive matchup in the East, the Celtics versus the Raptors. This series in my opinion is going to go 7 games, and I can see either team pulling out this one. Let's start off with the Raptors. They probably have the best coach in the league right now, which is a big advantage. The Raptors are an amazing defensive team and can lock up anybody. They have a lot of depth too. But the thing for me is, I don't think Raptors have that clutch player who can consistently give them buckets in close games in the 4th quarter. Last year, obviously they had Kawhi for that, but I don't think Pascal would be a great isolation scorer or very clutch as he is in a knockdown shooter. Fred VanVleet is probably who they will look to for scoring, and maybe even Lowry or Norman Powell. I just don't think the Raptors have the overall talent and don't have a superstar player anymore. But because they're elite defense, the series is guaranteed to go to 7 games. My final prediction is that the Celtics take this one in a hard-fought 7 games to move on to the conference finals. The Celtics, like I said already, have too many wings and scores for the Raptors to handle. They have pretty much 4 players who can score in the clutch and are a great defensive team as well. But this is still a coin flip for me, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors win. So for the other second round matchup, we have the Miami Heat versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And I got the Bucks in 6. Miami can kill them from 3 as we saw in the bubble game, but after the second half, the Bucks made adjustments and made Lopez play on the perimeter, which gave Miami less looks from behind the arc. But the Bucks are still just a terrible defense at defending the 3, so I think the Heat will take at least 2 games. The Heat are a very young team and have practically no experience outside of Jimmy and Iguodala. What gives the Bucks the edge is that they have an MVP and a superstar, unlike the Heat. Middleton will probably be guarded by Jimmy, but still the Bucks are more talented, have more depth and experience at the end of the day. Now in the Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Milwaukee Bucks facing the Boston Celtics. Giannis by a mile is the best player in this series, and as we've seen, the Celtics have no answer whatsoever for the Greek Freak, and their best shot at guarding him is Marcus Smart. Milwaukee is the number 1 rated defense in the league and can cause problems for Kemba, who will be guarded by Eric Bledsoe as an all-defensive guard. And their scorers are going to have to rely a lot on jump shooting because of the Bucks' elite and historic paint defense with Lopez and Giannis. The Celtics do have shooters, But again, the Bucks have the MVP, who the Celtics have no way to stop. And if Middleton and the role players all play how they should, I'm gonna give this to the Bucks in 6 to advance to the NBA Finals. Now moving into the Western Conference, we got the Blazers against the Lakers. I'm actually redoing this one after game 1, and I know this is gonna make a lot of you mad, but I'm sorry, I got the Blazers in 6. Listen, they're just coming off a 4-game win streak with the hottest player in the bubble right now, Pause, who's averaging 50 points per game for the last 3 games. After watching game 1, Lakers are really struggling and need to wake up, and so do the Bucks, by the way. The Blazers got a lot of momentum going in this series. AD was very inefficient and got bailed by free throws, and LeBron needs to start being more selfish and score, and not be passive. Blazers are playing pretty good defense and we're clogging the lane with Nurkic and Whiteside, allowing LeBron to only score on the fast break and forcing AD to take a lot of jumpers. Dame is pretty much unguardable and should average 40 in this series. Also, they have great players in the clutch with Dame, Melo, CJ, and Gary Trent. Nurkic has really elevated this team in the bubble and can use his body as well as Hassan to stop AD from driving as well. With all of this, if the Lakers role players can't step up and Green of Danny, Kyle Kuzma, and KCP, Blazers are going to win this series in 6 games. Next, we have the Rockets vs the Thunder. And a lot of people are saying this is going to be close, but I really don't see it. I got the Rockets in 5 even without Westbrook coming back until game 3 or maybe even missing the whole series. I think Harden is going to be too much, and as well as their 3-point shooting. If they can stay hot from behind the arc, they can destroy OKC. I just don't see a roster of CP3, Shea, who has no experience, Dennis Schroeder, Adams, and Gallinari getting it done against James Harden, who is going to be unguardable. Even with their small ball lineup, which has been working really good. If Westbrook comes back, this is going to be even more of a murder on OKC. So with all of this, Rockets are going to win this series fairly easily, and maybe the Thunder can take 2 games. Then we got the Nuggets vs the Jazz. These games are close and competitive, but the Nuggets got it done and are 4-0 against them in the regular season. Utah is missing their second best scorer who averaged 20 points per game, so Mitchell really needs to step up with his scoring and average at least 30. Rudy Gobert can't guard Jokic because he can play on the perimeter, and we saw him really struggle to stop him in their last bubble game and overtime. Mike Conley is also not playing for the first few games, so I'm going to have to go with the Nuggets in 6. For the last first round matchup, we have the Clippers vs the Mavs. I got the Clippers in 6. They have elite defenders to throw at Luka, but that's not going to be enough to stop the young superstar. Clippers really don't have an answer for Porzingis, and he will need to play really good. Mavericks are the future of the league, but it's not their time right now, as they're matched up against, in my opinion, probably the most well-rounded team in the league. Clippers have playoff Kawhi, who's a different breed, and with Paul George and many elite scorers and role players. Clippers are the more experienced and better team, and they actually play defense, and this gives them the edge. For the second round, we got the Nuggets vs the Clippers. To me, this is a pretty easy 5 games for the Clippers. And I think they'll struggle against the Mavs more than the Nuggets. The Nuggets are missing 2 of their best defenders to guard Kawhi and Paul George. So they pretty much have Kawhi, PG, Lou Williams, and maybe Montrezl Harrell having a scoring field day. Jokic will probably take control of the paint and look to post up all game. And I don't see Jamal Murray playing great against the best perimeter defense team in the league. Clippers are far better defensively and have the best bench and most depth team in the league, and the Nuggets will not be able to handle them. On the other side of the second round, we got the Rockets matched up against the Blazers. Man, I really want the Blazers to win, but I think Westbrook is going to get the best of Dame this time. He's not going to play better, but if Westbrook returns, I assume the Rockets will win. Dame and the Blazers have been fighting really hard in these seeding games, and they'll would definitely be extremely exhausted by the time I predict them to beat or even play the Lakers. James Harden is literally going to be unstoppable, and probably Westbrook as well. Nurkic, Whiteside, and Melo are going to be dominant in the paint, but the small ball lineup has been proved to be effective. Dame should still average around 35ish, and CJ really needs to play good. So my final prediction is the Rockets win this series in 6 games to advance to the Western Conference Finals to play the Los Angeles Clippers. And for the Western Conference Finals, I have the Clippers taking this in 6 games to move on to the NBA Finals. We already talked about the 3 elite defenders they have to throw at Westbrook and Harden. They could possibly slow down Harden, but it's still impossible to fully stop him. They might try and put Kawhi on Harden and switch between PG and Pat Bev to take the assignment on Westbrook. Rockets are still going to put up a fight with their elite 3-point shooting created from Russ and the Beards driving kicks. At the end of the day, like I said, Clippers have way too much depth and reigning Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard. I also think they're the best team in the league, so with that, I'm going to go with Clippers to pull it out in 7 games. They might even win in 6. They're just too good. So finally in the NBA Finals, we got the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi vs Giannis back at it again. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Bucks fan, so obviously I want them to win, but I'm going to be as least biased as possible. But you know what? I still got the Bucks stealing this championship. With Giannis Antetokounmpo winning an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, championship, and Finals MVP in the same season, and proving himself to be the best player in the league, and probably a top 20 player of all time already. I know a lot of you guys would disagree with me on this, but if everything goes well with the Bucks, they can beat the Clips. Clippers are going to try and build a wall to stop Giannis. And listen to me here, Kawhi single-handedly cannot guard Giannis. A lot of people say he locked him up last year in the conference finals, but the Raptors built a 4 or 5 man wall to stop him from driving, not just Kawhi. I hope and believe all the role players in Middleton and Giannis will step up and be huge. I'm confident they can prove the haters wrong and win this championship. Let's go Milwaukee Bucks, fear the deer. Anyways man, that's going to be the end of the video. Let me know in the comments what your guys' playoff predictions are and who you got winning the finals. Also let me know how you guys have been liking the bubble and how good the playoffs have been. And don't forget to give me more video ideas. Also, to say this at the end, I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers win. If it goes to Game 7, I think the Clippers could definitely win.
Beautiful basketball. Connaughton, Giannis, Ilyasovas missing as well.
Yep. Down to 34% for the game.